Hi, my name is India. Welcome to another vlog. It is August 23rd and summer reading challenges are about to end on the 31st for most of them. And I am so close to getting a blackout on two specific bookstore summer reading challenges. One of them is Grand Gesture Books, which is a romance bookstore in Portland. The other one is Powell's. And I care a little bit more about the Grand Gesture Books one for a slew of reasons I'm not going to get into. But I want to talk to you about what I'm currently reading and what I need to do when I need to finish reading in order to get a blackout on these bingo cards. So let's start with what I'm currently reading. So the current fiction book that I'm reading physically is A Tide of Treason by A.B. Daniels Anaki, I don't know. This is a independently published queer fantasy book that I picked up because I went to this author's booth at a queer summer market, and I was there and I was like, this sounds fun. I don't read fantasy. Why did I pick this up? Anyway, I'm currently slowly making my way through this. I really don't read fantasy that often. When I do, it's more like light fantasy, I would say. And this is pretty, I don't know, published in 2024. This is pretty not heavy fantasy, but it's clearly fantasy, and it's outside of my comfort zone, and it's pretty thick. I'm almost 50% of the way through. Can you see that bookmark? I'm almost there. We follow three main characters, one of whom is a prince of this kingdom that has kind of taken over and committed some pretty bad atrocities, and all this prince wants to do before he takes the throne is sail. He wants to go out on a boat and sail the seas. Then we have another character who is this privateer slash pirate who is trying to avenge his mother by killing the king of aforementioned kingdom. Then we have this mermaid who is also in a position where she's about to take power or come into the throne or a leadership position in her underwater kingdom place. It's not a kingdom, but it's this underwater community. She's about to become the head of this council. She really doesn't want to. And she wants to investigate this pollutant that the humans are dumping into the ocean, which is iron, which is also the cause of the reign of this main kingdom. Again, I feel like my brain is just not wired for this type of fantasy, so I'm having a little bit of trouble reading it, and I'm really hesitant. Once I start reading it, I do read it, but it's not something that I look forward to picking up. So while part of me is just DNF it if I wasn't reading it for a particular challenge, which is a Pacific Northwest author, I would DNF it. But that's not what we're talking about. Next, we have Love is for All of Us, Poems of Tenderness and Belonging from the LGBTQ+ community and friends, edited by James Cruz and Brad Peacock. This is a poetry collection, and I'm reading this out loud to a person in my life because A, I want to, and B, there's a challenge to read a book with someone, and so I periodically send them audio messages of me reading poems to them, and it's really sweet. I like a lot of these poems. This is a pretty good collection. I'm much more of a poetry anthology person than I am a collection of one poet's works. Lastly, oh my gosh. Okay, the last physical book that I'm reading is Succulent, Trans-Inclusive Sapphic Erotic Comics, edited by Nikki Smith, Ollie Hicks, and Tab Kimpton. This is really good. This is what it says on the tin: erotic, sapphic, trans-inclusive comics. These are beautiful. The theme is garden, so there's a lot of flower imagery, and I'm really liking this. And the only reason I haven't finished it is that I want to finish either this or my audiobook first for reasons. Speaking of, the audiobook that I'm listening to is Princess Floralinda and the 40-Flight Tower by Tamsin Muir. This is about Princess Floralinda, who's kidnapped by a witch and put in a tower, and all these princes try to save her, but they get eaten by this dragon. And so, with the help of a reluctant fairy, Princess Floralinda tries to escape the tower. I'm really liking this. It's a pretty short audiobook. I'm reading it for the dragons prompt. I don't know why I said it like that. I'm reading this for the prompt of an indie author, because these are all like indie comic artists. Yeah, those are books I'm currently reading. Let's talk about the two books. Two more books I need to read, start and finish to get a blackout. First, we have The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. This would fulfill the award winner prompt for 2 bingo boards. This is about a young enslaved girl on a plantation who is trying to escape slavery, and about a literal underground railroad. I like Colson Whitehead's writing. I've read The Nickel Boys before, and this has just been on my list to read. And then the last book that I'm trying to get the audiobook for, but it keeps saying that I have a 2-week waitlist, and it's been saying that I have a 2-week waitlist for like 2 weeks, is Health Followed With Us by Andrew Joseph White. This is a post-apocalyptic / just apocalyptic novel about a trans boy and a cult. Oh my gosh, yeah, desperately he searches for a place where the cult can't get their hands on him, and more importantly, on the bioweapon they infected him with. Okay, I've been wanting to read this author for a really long time. This is YA. This features a autistic character, as most of this author's characters are autistic. And I'm reading this for the read a book with a character with a disability prompt. I feel like it's important to be said, depending on the person, autism like does and doesn't fit into this category. I've met and worked with a lot of autistic people who are like, yeah, this isn't a disability. And I've also worked with and met autistic people who are like, yeah, this is a disability. I'm going to use this for this space, but I could see people being like, that's not, because it's a nuanced conversation. It's a nuanced topic. Anyway, I am starting this reading vlog because I need motivation to continue reading. A Tide of Treason. I'd like to read a couple chapters before I head into the bookstore for work today. I'm pretty excited. Love going into the bookstore. It's my occasional job where I pop in every so often. And I'm planning on walking there, even though it's gonna be super hot. Maybe I shouldn't walk there. That's like probably a really bad idea. It's supposed to be really hot today, and I just feel like walking. So I'm gonna make that choice depending on some factors I'm also not gonna tell you about. Whew. Okay, anyway, let's read. Hello, I am making myself a matcha. I don't have all the things. Hold on. I now have the things. I finished listening to Princess Floralinda and the 40 Flight Tower by Tamsin Muir, and I really liked it. This is a short little book about Princess Floralinda, who is trapped in a tower, and the princes are supposed to come and save her, but they don't, and they keep getting eaten by the dragon that's at the bottom of the tower. And then there is a bottom of the garden fairy that ends up getting swept up into her top of the tower flight, flight 40. And yeah, it's just about the two of them and Princess Floralinda going through the 40 flights of the tower. I really enjoyed it, like I said. My audiobook hold for Hell Followed With Us by Andrew Joseph White just came in, which I was going to read for the read a book with a disabled main character, but I ended up checking out from work yesterday. Let me get it. We have Marshmallow and Jordan by Elena Chow, which is about a young girl who is paralyzed from the waist down. And so I'm going to be reading this for that section prompt. There we go. Not necessarily because I think this like fits more, but just because this is a graphic novel. And I'm starting to get anxious about whether or not I'm going to finish all these prompts. So this is going to help with that. I'm still going to listen to the audiobook of Hell Followed With Us, or at least I'm going to start it. If I don't like the audiobook, then there's like no pressure for me to continue to listen to it, which is nice. Ta-da! It's matcha and some lavender syrup and some almond milk. It's very yummy. I'm gonna drink this because I need a little bit of caffeine before I go into work. Today I had work earlier today, got to leave early, and then have work later today at another spot. What do I want to do with my time before then? Because I've already been knitting. I finished my Rib Lace Raglan by James N. Watts in this nice orange color, which was really great, and I feel set on knitting. But what do I want to do? I might read more of A Tide of Treason, or I might read more of Succulent. I think that's likely what I'm gonna do, is read some Succulent erotic comics. And on my walk to work, I haven't fully decided if I'm going to walk to work or drive halfway there and then walk. There's a street fair happening near where I work, and so parking is going to be a bit of a hassle. So I was planning on walking and having my roommate pick me up, but I don't know if I want to do that. Like, I might just park close enough that I feel comfortable walking at the end of the night. This doesn't matter. I'm gonna figure out what to do. Hello. So, some changes, some updates. First of all, I moved my bookshelves into my bedroom, which feels a lot better. I like just having all my books in one place. So my TBR is like up there above my like clothing shelves, and then these are all of my read books for the most part. Some books, like my Oxford World Classics and my Penguin Classics and like these editions, I want them to stay together. So there's like read and unread mixed throughout. But other than that, these are books that I have read. I feel a little weird about this lighting just because the windows are there, but I think it's fine. Anyway, let's talk about the updates. I finished reading Marshmallow and Jordan by Elena Chow. This was really sweet. This is about a girl who used to be the star player of her basketball team, and then there was an accident and she is paralyzed from the waist down, and she ends up joining the water polo team. And so it's about friendship, it's about confidence, it's about trying new things. It was really sweet. I read it in two sittings. So yes, I have checked off the, what was this challenge for? Read a book with a disabled main character. And then, checking in, I am 80 pages through Love is for All of Us, and there's a total of 148 pages about. So more than halfway through this. Again, I'm reading this to a person in my life, and so it's like going a little bit slower, but I'm sure I will get through this. I'm not super concerned. Then I started the Underground Railroad. I am 42 pages through, and I'm going to continue reading this. However, I have decided I'm not going to try to rush it. I started reading it and I was like, this is interesting, but I am trying to get some books read for this bingo challenge, and therefore I'm trying to either read books that are not going to take me as long, or I'm trying to pick up my reading pace. This book is not conducive to either of those. I really want to take my time with it, so I'm not going to rush it. So instead, I went through my owned TBR, and I looked for books that were award winners, because that's what this book was going to check off. And I found Post-Colonial Love Poem by Natalie Diaz, which is the winner of the Pulitzer Prize. So I'm going to read this instead. It's a poetry collection. It's therefore shorter, and I will get through it quicker than I would get through the Underground Railroad. I think too, it's one of those things that I've been thinking a lot about, like reading and respect and being a respectful reader, and how my intentions like should align with the book. So the Underground Railroad is about the Underground Railroad and is about enslaved people escaping slavery. And unless it is like written to be fast paced, it doesn't feel super respectful for me to like try to rush through it, especially as a white person. So yeah, not that I'm like, oh, this is it's more respectful for me to rush through this. No, the fact that this is poetry just means that it's going to be at a different pace than something else. So I've been thinking about that. Also in terms of my audiobook, which is Hell Followed With Us by Andrew Joseph White. That's another one where I'm like, I really want to take my time with this. Hi, Eleanor. I want to take my time with this. I want to actually like read it and listen to it. I'm liking the audiobook so far. And so Hell Followed With Us and The Underground Railroad are books that initially I was going to, I don't know why I'm waving this around, but initially I was going to read for the bingo challenge, but now I'm like, I'm just gonna read them, which is great. I have another reading challenge that I need to update, and that is the Read for Life Adult Summer Reading, like library challenge. I don't know if I'm going to take this in today or tomorrow, but I've definitely read 45 days this summer. I read almost every day. Like, I definitely read every day that I have work at one of my jobs. So yeah, I'm gonna get around to this. But where am I going? I'm gonna start Post-Colonial Love Poem probably after I have therapy today. Where should this hat go? I'm gonna put that hat there. I definitely have like stuff on the shelves that I don't necessarily think will stay there. I mean, like this yarn is for one of my current projects. It could either go in my office or it could go in the basket with that project, but right now it's just there. I have arranged my books mostly by color and then by like genre or type of publication. And I might arrange my TBR by color as well. Hello, good morning. It is August 31st, which means it is the last day for me to get a blackout on these bingo boards. So I am still reading these two poetry collections, Love is for All of Us and Post-Colonial Love Poem. I have about 40 to 50 pages of each left. And here's my current prediction. I think I'm gonna get this done at work today, and I think I'm gonna get halfway through this at work today. The thing with this one is that I am reading it out loud to a person in my life, and so it is taking a little bit longer. I've already said this. So I think I'm gonna send an audio note before I leave for work. It is quite early this morning. I'm gonna send an audio note before I leave for work, and then focus on this at work. Not to get into what I do, but I do have a period of time where I am on the clock, but am not actively doing anything. I'm also going to bring my Gertrude Stein. So I have Tender Buttons Objects. I have Food, which is the full section of Tender Buttons that follows Objects. And then checked out, I have the entirety of Tender Buttons, which has Objects, Food, and Rooms. And I definitely want to either, like, this is gonna be what I do when I'm done with this. I'm also bringing my writing notebook that I haven't written in since 2019. No, let's see. 2021. That I haven't written in since 2021. So we're gonna break this out. We're gonna do some Gertrude Stein inspired writing, and have a grand old time. I'm really enjoying Post-Colonial Love Poem. So far my favorite poems are These Hands, If Not God's, and From the Desire Field. They're just, it's very careful language, not careful in the sense of like timid, but just full of care. And it's very, I don't want to say rich, I don't want to say intentional. Those are like things that I say about poetry, but yeah, just like really solid writing. And like I said, I'm like halfway through. I've got about 50 pages left. I am someone who prefers a shorter poem. So some of the poems that are like 3-4 pages long, I'm like less into. That being said, they're still catching my attention pretty well. Poetry. All right, I'm gonna drink my tea in my little autumnal peanuts mug. So cute. And oh, I'm also bringing, just in case, my Kindle. And if I finish everything, by chance, I want to maybe start I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. I think it's time that I get around to that. And I have this is interesting because it's already been published, but I have an e-copy of the arc of the new publication that's coming out. So, yeah. All right, that's my plan. Okay, my shelves are kind of a mess, and you can see my closet, but I need to close out this video. I think it's gonna be fairly short. Anyway, I did in fact finish reading Love Is For All of Us and Post-Colonial Love Poem, meaning I got my bingo. I already turned in my slips and got my coupons, and I'm going to the other bookstore that I participated in bingo for to submit my blackout bingo card. I'm just realizing how much I need to vacuum my floors, but I'm gonna do that probably after work today. Anyway, of the two, I liked both of them. I am really glad that I was able to find this. I found this at a thrift store, and I'm glad that I read it. I think I mentioned this before, but some of my favorite poems were The Cure for Melancholy is to Take the Horn, From the Desire Field, and These Hands If Not God's. And then Love Is For All of Us. This is a book that I was reading out loud to a person in my life, and I had a really great time doing that. I liked a lot of these poems. I feel like poetry anthologies are a little bit more of the way that I like to consume poetry, rather than like collections from a singular poet. I think I just end up enjoying my experience more when it's an anthology. But this was really good. This was really good. Yeah, I am heading, like I said, to go to one bookstore to like make a purchase, to go to another bookstore to submit my bingo card, and probably buy a book, probably buy a romance book. I think that would be really cute. But yeah, thanks so much for watching this video. I don't know what my plans are video making wise for September. I definitely am in a little bit of a, like, some people say like reading hangover. Not necessarily from reading a specific book, but for me, just for like spending the past 3 months really pushing reading. That said, I do want to continue to keep up my pace with reading so that I can reach my goal of reading 100 books this year. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you when I see you.